Next on the Love You More Show.
How was Shamika Daniels, your wife, how was she instrumental in that 2014 season where you can't really think?
I want wives to hear me with this. She wasn't very instrumental in the healing process. She was instrumental in creating an environment where I could heal. She couldn't fix my brokenness. Started before I met her. No matter how much she loved me, she couldn't. Mm-hmm. She didn't break it. She couldn't heal it. But what she could do was provide an environment where I didn't feel judged or emasculated for being human. Created an environment where I didn't feel like her view of me was based on our financial status. So I never felt like I gotta get it because she wanna have it.
Ooh.
She never put that pressure on me. Mm-hmm. That's why right now she can get whatever she wants.
Love you more, love you more, love you more.
Indeed. Family, it is the Love You More Show. Your nephew Willie Moe Jr. here saying thank you. Over 200,000 subscribers already. And I tell you what, it feel like we just getting started. Let me tell you something. I feel so good right here in my sha-na-na. The moment that I looked on YouTube and we went over 200,000 subscribers in less than 10 months, I knew then that God was doing something. So shout out to you. So do me a favor, before we even get started, I want to challenge you to just click that little subscribe button. Ain't no need to just be looking, You need to be a part of this amazing opportunity because I promise you two things. Number one, you're going to have some fun. And secondly, you're going to be enlightened. The gentleman that I'm hanging out with today is Montgomery County's finest. You don't know what that is. I know. But see, my family is actually from Mississippi. My dad's from Noxapater. You don't know what that is? Maybe Starkville. You heard of Mississippi State? Good. Winona? Don't ring a bell. Well, I know you won't know where Kill Michael is, but guess what? I do, because I went to the University of Mississippi. Now, when you look on the internet and you think of wisdom, I'm sure you think of the gentleman that we're going to speak to today. I tell you, I have watched for the last year and a half, and I ain't going to lie to y'all. I was on the road, and of course, I was going through divorce at the time. Didn't nobody notice when it was quiet, just real quiet before it got real crazy on social media. And I ended up watching a video, and I said, I think I got that brother number. And I had to text him. I said, bro, you touched me today. Because usually when a pastor got too many muscles, you know what I'm saying? When he gets like, he got muscles like this right here, I'd be like, Brian finna listen to you. You ain't spending time with God. You Lou Ferrigno. You know what I mean? And so, but the anointing was so strong. And I was so grateful that I had the opportunity to even have his number to share how much his message helped me so much. He's the pastor of Change Church. He's an entrepreneur guru. And as I stated before, Montgomery County's finest. The one and only Pastor Dharius Daniels is in the building. What up, champ?
What's up, my guy? Man, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. And man, grateful for what you're doing.
Man,
these conversations that you're having and touching people in a unique way. One of the mantras I think I'm carrying in this season, that if you're going to be all you've been created to be, you got to know God is enough, but Sunday is not.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing in terms of supplementing and filling in these gaps and having some necessary conversations, man.
Man, listen, such an honor and privilege. I was asking the Lord, I said, now listen, he can talk about anything. I mean, he can go relationships. I mean, you kind of that guy that is almost like a guide menu on TV. It'd be like, okay, which one you want? Let's talk finances. See, the problem is you ain't got no coach, In 2014, I went what about relationships? Well, been married. What about family? And you begin to speak about your father. But today, I want to talk to you about something that I believe is going to be so beneficial for the other people on the other side of this camera. Because right now, there are so many people in this. And in order to find out what this is, I want to do a small icebreaker. Bring your attention to the screen. Check this out. When I left that church, my life had changed forever. I realized that moments quickly become memories. So it's important that you spend great moments with your loved ones because you just don't never know. Speaking of loved ones, I was getting picked up by one of my favorite but not so favorite uncles, Uncle G. I mean, he old school, drive a Cadillac, hat to the back, and he knock-kneed as hell, but he's still a good guy. He sometimes joke too quick, but the truth is, he's exactly what I needed during this time to bring me back to earth. He walks up and he says, "Oh, you all right, son?" I'm like, "It's tough." He continues, "I know it, but it's a part of life." He says, "Don't worry about a thing, he's in a better place." That's true. You know I'm crazy, right? I don't know why they say in a better place, he in a box. But you see, I got you laughing already. Laughter is healing for the soul. No matter what it is, laugh it off. Keep laughter in your life no matter what you do, okay? Now get your punk ass in the car. What? Get your ass in the car, Junior. Wow.
See, a lot of people don't understand the game, you know what I'm saying? There's no stability in this, dog. All you living off of is a dream, you know what I'm saying? If people don't buy your music, you don't eat, man. So it do get hard for you sometimes, you heard me? I'm gonna tell you though, for real. Steady striving for stardom, wanting fortune and fame. On my face I'm smiling, in my heart is pain.
I believe we all get tested, go through hell to get our blessings.
I promise at times I wanna break down.
No one understands me.
This time I'm going up, ain't going back down.
If you believe it will be.
Taking proper precautions, times is getting harder. Do what we gotta do to feed our sons and daughters. You wanted a survivor, then you got your one. You just told me to claim it, and that's all I done.
Living in my city street, nobody cares for me.
Oh, oh.
Somebody pray for me, cause I got a destiny.
Oh, oh,
oh. I'm just a man with a dream, striving for the finer things.
oh, oh.
But this is my turning point.
I'm getting everything I want.
The name of the song is Turning Point. It's available now wherever you stream music. And Pastor Dharius Daniels, I want to talk to you about turning points today, man.
Okay.
I
got a question though.
Go ahead.
You didn't hit me about being in the video. I could have I could have spoke a little something at the beginning or something. I mean, I can't hold a note, but
Hey,
you
you heard it here first. Next video featuring. No, but listen, we gonna do something.
Okay,
We gotta do something.
Figure it out.
It's a Mississippi thing here. But I want to talk to you a little bit about that because you've had a very unique journey.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people see the glory, but they don't necessarily understand the story. Like I've seen you hop on platforms and it's almost as if you get an opportunity to just hear the wisdom, but a lot of people don't necessarily understand the journey. Now, here go the thing. I was playing in the beginning, talking about Kill Michael and Winona, but I want to tell you, I'm proud of you because it ain't got to be, I promise you about 600 people
That's
in
it.
Kill Michael.
Yeah.
In Noxapater High, I think my cousin had 41 people in his senior class. How many people's in your senior class?
Like 32.
Yes. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
tell you. This is a small town.
Yeah, it's different.
How did one from Kill Michael become, like, what seed was planted in you to say, man, life could be so much bigger, to create an imagination to maybe see what you see now?
Yeah, obviously there's the God factor, which is the most the most important one. I don't want to underemphasize that because you know how some people like it's God. Of course it's God.
Yes.
But you're asking a question because you want to know, like, besides God.
Because I've been
Right.
to
Like
Kill
what?
Mike.
Yeah, right.
See, they ain't been to Kill Mike.
Yeah.
I know God visit everywhere, but
Yeah.
Kill Michael?
100%. Like, what did God use
What
to
did
kind of
God
get me out?
use in Kill Michael for you to become this version of self
Timothy
with
Daniels.
30 people?
Timothy Daniels,
Your father.
my dad.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing, but I learned from my dad the power of words because one of the things that he did, even though, you know, being from Kim Michael, you limited in what you see.
Yes.
I never saw a stadium.
Y'all got a stoplight down there, don't it?
We don't have a stoplight.
It's a stop sign.
We got stop signs.
Yeah.
We don't have a stoplight. Now, remember, we only got one police officer.
Yes.
Well, one full-time police officer.
Yeah.
Then the part-time police officer, he drove my school bus in the day. He covered the night shift on the This is no exaggeration.
He not lying.
I'm not lying.
My family in Winona. I know.
You already know.
Is.
You already know.
Yes.
Yes. So it's like, yo, he drove the school bus during the day, and then he covered the night shift at the police station at night. But no, it was the weirdest thing. When my dad would speak to me, I heard, but I saw. I heard, but I saw. He'd be like, hey, you can do anything. I heard it, but I saw it.
Yeah.
And then when there would be people around, I remember this one occasion where somebody in my family, at one point I was thinking about going to Morehouse.
Okay.
And I was talking about school or whatever, and I had said, I think I'm gonna go to Morehouse, etc. And if somebody in my family said, well, you can't go to Morehouse, those out-of-state fees, this, that, and the other, they're never gonna accept you come from this school. My dad didn't wait until they got outside my presence to check them. He checked them immediately and publicly. And he said, don't ever tell him what he can't do.
Wow.
And then said to me, you can do whatever you want. And so, I think sometimes we can just kind of underestimate really the power of words. Yeah. And so my dad spoke so much in me that I saw myself beyond Kilmichael, Mississippi. Yeah. And so I saw, and I'm not saying I saw everything that I've experienced.
Right.
But I saw some things before I saw some things, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So 100%, I would say the greatest instrument God used was my dad.
So you and Kilmichael, shout out to your father too. So is your dad a pastor too?
He's a pastor.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a pastor. He still pastors now. He was a bivocational pastor.
Okay.
He's a welder during the day.
Uh-huh.
So he would weld in a factory all day, come home, change, and then do pastoral ministry in the evening. So I feel like I picked up my work ethic from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So same with me. Like my dad, ex-sharecropper, so he wasn't a pastor. Yeah. But he worked as a housekeeper. So I seen him work 16 hours a day. So when people see my work ethic, besides them last 3 years when I was just like almost about to lose my mind, like people see the work ethic and they're like, man, how can you get up and do this, that, and the other? And then I'm like, well, that's all I actually saw. Yeah. So can we talk to just men today who may not have the opportunity to have the type of examples that we seen as it pertains to hard work, and they're kind of winging it. And the truth is, every turning point is hard. Yeah. It's very unique. Mm-hmm. But it's even harder when you didn't have some tangible example of what manhood could possibly be. Yeah. What do you say to a person right now who says, listen, I'm trying to be the best father, I'm trying to be the best husband, I don't want to keep failing in certain areas of my life, but all I really needed was an example?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is this, and this is probably like more I don't know how nurturing this is going to sound or how pastoral this is going to sound. It's probably going to sound more like a coach.
Nah, bro, do you.
Yeah, and
this
so
is freedom.
Yeah, so the first thing that I would say to that man is, hey, the only difference between me and you is we had a different set of problems. Nobody has problem-free life. Mm-hmm. And even when you evolve and elevate in life, all you do is exchange problems. That's it. There's no such thing as a problem-free life. There's no such thing as life that's not hard, right? We all just get dealt a different deck of cards. And so what I would say is there are some things that I might have got, let's say like work ethic, by default, because I was exposed to it. Now, you got to make a choice whether or not you're going to go without it because you didn't get it by default. Because there's some stuff I didn't get by default, I had to get by design. So if I didn't get it organically, I had to get it intentionally. So for me, part of what it means to be a man is seeking the resources that I need. You used the word wisdom earlier. Like, instead of just chasing wealth, you got to chase wisdom. Like, chase wisdom the way you chase wealth. And so maybe the example that you wanted didn't come in the form of your father, but there is somebody out there that's modeling where you're trying to get to, and you can glean from that person, even if it's at a distance. Here's something I share really with people a lot of times who didn't grow up like with a father like mine. And I don't try to put myself in their shoes. I don't know what that's like, right? So I don't try to dismiss their pain. But being a person of faith, here's what I do say. I say, yo, because God's sovereign, he didn't cause that, right? Your dad, or whatever circumstances, created his absence. Here's what I say, though. Maybe God would rather you deal with the pain of his absence than the consequence of his presence. You feel what I'm saying? So, yo, like, maybe if he was there, what kind of example would he have been? What would you have picked up?
Yeah.
And what would you have to undo and unlearn?
Yeah.
How much would that have cost you? So my thing is like, yo, you may not be able to get it you may not have got it from a natural father.
Yeah.
But there are men that exist that are modeling what you need. You got to pursue that. You got to glean from those. And you cannot be picky when it comes to the people that God uses to help you become a better version of yourself.
You can't be picky. I love that. We need to put that on something. That look like a t-shirt. You can't be picky about it. Pastor, I got to ask you this, man. You know, it's so funny you say that because I finally had the opportunity in 2020 to meet my biological family. Like, I had never met anybody in my biological family. I always tell people all these years I've been traveling, if I go to Mexico, Africa, it don't matter where I go, because I never met anybody in my family. I was like, man, this might be my family over here in Mexico. Because, you know, I had good hair back in the day before I went bald, before I had children. Come on, somebody. And then when I made it to Africa, when I finally made it to Africa, because I went to Ethiopia, everybody over there looked like my cousin.
Wow.
Come to find out, we was in West Africa where my real family was, but I met my dad. And my dad began to cry when he met me. And he began to apologize. And for somebody, that was so good. But for me, I was like, no apology necessary. He was like, if I would have knew, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Dude, you exist, I didn't know. He said, I would have been a father. I said, Pop, I already got a father. He the best man I ever met. And I look at some of the habits that my biological father has endured, and doesn't make him a bad person, but I seen the seeds that were planted in me. I said, I don't want to play with that thing because I believe this, that everybody can get saved. Like, if you know, I believe in Jesus, he can save you. However, I believe that deliverance sometimes takes a whole lot of time. So right now, as we look at the state of men in relationships, since this is all about love and heartbreak and overcoming and becoming victorious, what is the proper way for a man, in your rightful opinion, to deal with heartbreak?
More Love You More podcast after this.
Hey, Willie Moe Jr. here. Bro, can I be honest with you? These kids done went back to school, and Lord knows I just been going through hell trying to get them up in the morning time. You know the one thing I can't believe about these children is trying to get them to go to bed is like pulling teeth. I say every single night, let's go ahead and go to bed, because we know you're not going to want to wake up in the morning. Do you think they listen? Yes, because if not, I'm going to tear that up. But I'm serious. The truth is, I got a teenager and living in this world today, knowing what the world got to offer, I realize I do not have all the answers. That's why I'm always bringing in other men who could pour into my son some other knowledge that I might not necessarily have. Besides, y'all know I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and my pop-off game strong. I ain't hit the bell right. Anywho, so I always like to expose my children to other men who may be better in certain areas than I am. Pride gonna make an excuse. My humility is making major adjustments. So I also want to challenge you to make some major adjustments as well. Right now, I have a 21-year-old son at the University of Mississippi, a 15-year-old son who's a junior in high school, a 9-year-old son who's going on 19, and a 5-year-old daughter who's just pretty, and I hope she finished school, because she might just end up being a star. But each one of my children, I make sure that I allow them to be mentored by people in the area in which that I believe that they're going to flourish in. So I want to offer the same opportunity to your child. Statistics are crazy with young African-American males, especially during the election year and the changing of the guard. Everybody's on edge, including the police. I want to make sure that your son or your grandson has all the tools that he needs to win on purpose. And that's why my son and I, Khalil Moore, we came up with More Mentorship. Say it again, More Mentorship. Every Tuesday we meeting on Zoom. I only have space for about 100 young men. Come here. Now, if you don't want your son to be checked a little bit, if he get out of line, do me a favor. Don't enroll him in my mentorship, because I'm going to let you know. I'm going to tell it like it is. If you call me and tell me you having an issue with your son, we're going to get to the bottom of it. I love God, but I still, let's get that out the way. Family, if you are interested in mentorship, I want to give you the opportunity to log on to morementorship.com. Again, that's morementorship.com. We are enrolling students now. We're only going to do this for 90 strong days. So make sure that you get your student in ASAP. What is the proper way for a man, in your rightful opinion, to deal with heartbreak? Because we deal with a lot as it pertains to women, but when it becomes men, sometimes it's just too macho to drop that guard to say, hey, I'm hurting. So what do you think is the best first step for a man who may be suffering through heartbreak right now?
I think the first you mentioned the word deliverance.
Yes.
The first phase of deliverance from anything is deliverance from deception. And I think men simply need to admit, first of all, that I'm actually hurt and that it's going to take some intentionality for me to actually heal in a healthy way. There's this term that's been floating around in my head, unhealthy healing. And I got it from
Unhealthy healing.
So for example, one day me and my dad I was probably 13. We were playing, so even to this day, if you look at one of my dad's like pinky finger on his right hand, I think, right or left, it won't extend all the way out. It's like this. You can't move it. Because one day when we were playing basketball in the backyard, I think I was like 13, 14. I was trying to spike the ball down or something on a rebound, and boom, I heard it crack. His finger broke. Pops never goes to the. You got me? Pops never goes to the doctor. Pops is like, oh, it's just jammed.
Yeah.
He's minimizing his injury because he can handle the pain. He's assuming he doesn't need to address it. Because the pain's bearable, he's not getting assistance for it. So what ends up happening is, over time, it heals. But it doesn't heal properly. It was only when it healed that he realized it was actually broken. And when he went to the doctor, Dr. Katrina Polk in Kill Michael, Mississippi.
Come on. And I know you probably know where she stayed in Kill Michael. I ain't trying to talk about where you from, but I just know where you from.
You're like, they're not at the office. They're not at the office. Just pull up at the crib.
Hey, look, there. Yeah. Y'all think it's a joke because y'all in these big cities. I love Kill Michael, Mississippi, the M.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
But no, long story short is, he goes to her and she says, in order to fix this, I got to break it again. And he says, nah.
I'm cool.
I'm cool. So it healed, but it was an improper healing. So the pain isn't present anymore. But his potential with that finger is kind of limited. So what I would say to a man is, hey, I want you to think about this example I just gave with my dad's finger. If you don't learn from his experience, your heart is going to look like his finger.
That's real.
So you're going to hit a season where you can use it, but you won't be able to use it in a way that's consistent with its potential.
Yeah.
Because it healed, and it healed in an improper way. Does that make sense?
It totally does.
I think, I don't know, it's like my thought. What I'm trying to say is, I think sometimes people think that, okay, healing is the absence of pain. That's not the same thing.
Right.
So it's almost like people stop working when they stop hurting. And what I'm saying is, man, listen, if your heart has been broken, there's going to be a time where it hurts less. But if you aren't intentional about healing properly, it's going to work less in the future.
Wow.
And so the first thing I would say is like, yo, admit, not only does this hurt, but I got to be intentional in making sure it heals right.
Profound. So as I listen to that, I see that every man has areas and every woman has areas that may not have been healed correctly.
100%. All of us do.
Like everybody has those moments. The question becomes, because I see you and you got it. I mean, you got it. It's, some people anoint it, and then it's this it factor too that I believe comes from the Lord, right? Like some people just really good preachers, really good orators, really good speakers, but then some people have a strong conviction that it comes from something totally different. Nelson Mandela, he had a strong conviction that put him in jail, so when he spoke, it was different.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King, when he spoke, we all know that conviction was just so different. You have that same thing. And I don't know necessarily if you know that, could it be that you could be unaware because of an area that may have healed broken?
Yeah, or maybe not healed at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, or maybe not healed at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's why your comment, man, was so profound, especially for people in spiritual space,
Yeah.
about salvation instantaneous,
Mhm.
sanctification, which is transformation, lifetime.
Yes.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
You can become more moral quickly.
Yeah.
You cannot become more whole quickly.
Yeah.
I want
I
you to
love
think
it. That's real.
I want you to think about
That
that.
thing gonna be a process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is going to be a process.
Yeah.
The triggers, and because sometimes, sometimes we're even unaware that we're not as far as we think we are in a healing journey. It take you being triggered.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like somebody with an ex. I'm over them. Tell me that after you see them.
That's
Tell me
real.
what you feel after.
Yeah, that's so real. You done ran into a tough spot. I'm gonna keep a straight face. Praise the Lord. I know they looking for me. Katie, take this camera off me and put it on him. Get off of me. Who's that, Tybo? Get it off of me. Praise the Lord. But no, that's so real.
Yeah.
So, just in this time, as we see you from the outside looking in, I'm just like, man, this is a beautiful ride. How do we keep it beautiful without it crashing? What steps do you take to make sure that those small foxes don't spoil the vine?
I can only speak for me. And one of the things for me is, well, I'll just say this forever. I think everyone has to come to terms with what success is going to be for you.
Mm-hmm. That's real.
And if we have two definitions of that, then the steps I'm going to take and the steps you're going to take are going to be completely different.
Right.
Like, what's this say? Is this saying, it's possible to get to the top of the ladder of success and then realize you leaned it against the wrong wall. It's like, yo, I did all of this. I gave up all of this. I spent all of this. And now I finally got what I was sacrificing for, and it wasn't even worth it. So for me, I got blessed with the gift of, at this point is over 10 years ago. I got blessed with the gift of like an experience with burnout. I call it a gift now. So you got to be careful what you call a thing when you're in it. Kierkegaard says life is live forward but understood backwards. So sometimes you got to get in another season and you look back at a previous season and you'll be like, yo, I mislabeled that. So I wouldn't call it a gift then, but it was a gift to me.
Yeah.
Because I woke up and basically what I found out later is like I had an anxiety attack. No issues with anxiety, anything like that. It happened in October 2014.
Okay.
And so that was the greatest gift to me because it caused me, bro, when you feel like you're about to lose your mind,
Yeah.
all of the stuff people trip about, all the stuff that you felt like was real major become minor to you.
I know it.
It becomes,
I ain't worried about that.
yeah, it becomes
You missed
very,
an appointment. I ain't worried about that.
very
Keep my
minor
mind.
to you.
Yeah.
So that happened to me, man.
Yeah.
And it happened to me by everybody else's standards. I was winning. See, it happened to me not because stuff was going wrong. I had too much going right. Even though it was going right, it was too much.
Mm-hmm.
I was in like 2 building projects. I was finishing up I had my first book deal, so the manuscript was due on that, and I was doing doctoral work, and I was probably traveling about 75 times a year speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing all of that, trying to raise kids, trying to be a husband, so all of this is going on. It was too much of the right stuff. And people were admiring from the outside something that was destroying me from the inside. So all I heard was you grinding, you getting it, you killing it. But then when I was in that bed and I couldn't get my thoughts together that morning, it was nobody but me and Shamika Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it was weird because I was being celebrated for something that was actually dysfunctional. So at that moment, I decided to redefine success on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, success is very, very simple. I want to be the man that God's called me to be. We know that. So let's get real practical.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do all that is possible for me to do without violating the values that matter most to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody say, Yo, how much you gonna do? I'm gonna do as much as I can without violating what matters most to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that we live in a culture that admires and that celebrates at times achievements that's fruit of dysfunction. Oh, you a grinder. Pause, bro. Why?
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with grinding, but why? We
Mhm.
were just talking about this early.
Mm-hmm.
Are you grinding out of calledness and ledness or drivenness?
Yeah.
Because whenever you're driven, you're being driven.
Yes.
I'm driven. Okay, something driving you.
Something driving you.
And you got to do the work to figure out what that is. If it's fear, then you're not a master, bro. You're a slave. I can't stop. Why? You scared to stop?
Yes.
So I just redefine success on my own terms. And I'm like, oh, y'all can have whatever. You can have whoever the hottest, whatever, you win.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the game. I'm not going back to 2014.
I love it. How was she said Shamika Daniels, your wife, how was she instrumental in that 2014 season where you can't really think?
I want to say this too. I think this applies to, I want wives to hear me with this. She wasn't very instrumental in the healing process. She was instrumental in creating an environment where I could heal. She couldn't fix my brokenness started before I met her.
Come on, man. That's the viral moment right there. That hit my heart.
Yeah. So no matter how much she loved me, she couldn't.
Mhm.
She didn't break it. She couldn't heal it. But what she could do was provide an environment
Mm-hmm.
where I didn't feel judged or emasculated for being human. Created an environment where I didn't feel like her view of me was based on our financial status. So I never felt like I gotta get it because she wanna have it.
Ooh.
She never put that pressure on me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why right now she can get whatever she wants. That's why, like, I don't care what nobody say about that. It's like she never put that pressure on me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I would have been like, yo, we through with all of this, she would have been like, well, we through with all of this.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was with a woman that actually valued me. And she saw my value in my identity and not just in my contribution. A man should contribute. But if all you're doing is valuing his contribution, or if you're defining his manhood by contribution only, then I don't know if you're creating a context for a man to actually heal. Because you're putting subliminal pressure on him
Yeah.
that is actually working against sometimes some of the internal healing that he actually needs. So we didn't go broke. We didn't get poor. That's not what I'm saying. But she couldn't heal me. But she could provide a context for me to heal. What you need.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
She could be an ear even when she couldn't empathize. She could be an ear. See, nobody know. Nobody, I don't care how much you love somebody love you. It's some pressure they can't relate to till they sit in your seat. Even if they're your spouse.
Yeah. That's
So I feel like she provided, to answer your question, I feel like I over-answered.
No, it's good.
She
This is
provided,
good.
she
You flow.
provided a safe place
Yeah.
for me to heal. And I think in turn, she got a better husband on the other side of that.
Yeah. So, Pastor, this is what I know. I know that with this spotlight for a person like you, who seemingly seem like a extrovert, but probably is very
Introvert,
introverted.
100%.
That is like, all right, I did it. Now get everybody away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I did what I was supposed to do. Now get everybody away. So, what is the best way for a person who's starting to see, like, man, this thing is growing and growing and growing? I often see people grow, but they've been on the grind, hustling and strategizing for so long that the growth sometimes kills them and it kills their family. Like, I'll be the first to say, when I first got this nationally syndicated radio show, I was so, man, I had never, I mean, you know, we had a level of success in the R&B field or what have you, but I had never felt so responsible for so many people's lives because they were holding on to every single word.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be honest, you know, it never really got to my head, but I just started working and grinding as if there wasn't no checks coming.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was going so hard. I remember one time, and she probably doesn't remember this, but she said, "How much do we need?"
Wow.
And I was like, it just became like sport. You know?
Yeah.
It was like, how much do we need? I was just like, well, it's an engagement. And we got to touch the people because my heart was in the right place. God just kept sending it and sending it and sending it. How does a person like you structure yourself with people who can tell you the truth and lay out a blueprint so you don't find yourself crashing out in certain areas of opportunities?
I'm going to be super honest about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because ultimately, in part, what you're talking about is like, in part, what you're talking about is accountability.
Yeah.
How real can I be?
Man, we 100 on this time.
Okay. Accountability only work with honest people.
Yeah.
I got accountability partners. Someone say, I got accountability partner. That doesn't impress me.
Mm-hmm.
Are you honest?
Yeah.
Because if you aren't honest,
Mm-hmm.
the accountability doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now, so the first person you have to be honest with is you.
Yeah.
And the more honest you are with you, then the contribution you need from other people around you becomes different.
Mm-hmm.
So now you don't need them to help you be honest because you're honest.
Right.
You don't need them to help you see you out of pocket because you're self-aware.
Yeah.
You need them to help you strategize so you can protect the things that matter to you the most.
I love it.
So when I talk about my life structure, I sat down, this is a long time ago, I sat down with this guy and he said something to me, I never forget. He said, Dharius, you got to start seeing yourself as an entity, not as an individual. So you need to see yourself as Dharius Daniels, Inc. And what do corporations have? Boards. So who's your life board?
Mm-hmm.
And who are the people that are authorities, meaning they got a degree of expertise in the areas of your life that matter to you the most. And those are the people you go to strategize on how to protect that value no matter what else is growing. Does that make sense? So it's almost like the priority still becomes you, not the thing that you're growing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're in my space, like whatever I do in ministry and marketplace, it flows from me, right? I didn't create a drink line, right? So
It's me.
I'm the business.
Exactly.
The coaching program, all this stuff, it's me. So my approach is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so this guy, he helped me with this. And he's just like, yo, so you kind of got to look at yourself as an entity and you got to have a board. And so the best thing for the business, the best thing for the church is for Dharius to present the best version of himself to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's position you financially so that by the time by the time I was 40, it took me to 41. So by the time you're 40, you do that. I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but by the time that you're 40, you're working out of purpose and not out of need.
Yes.
You feel me?
I totally feel
Yeah. So that it's,
yes.
Yeah. So you're really doing revivals, not survivals. Right? Let's,
Boom.
Yeah. He told me that. Yeah. So anyway.
You doing hold on, pause. You can't just run over that. You doing revival.
I'm doing a revival, Doc. You doing a survival.
You doing a survival. This
You're doing a
offer number
survival.
3.
Right?
Praise the Lord.
You're
Yeah.
doing a survival. No, hey, I'm not knocking anybody's hustle, whatever.
Yeah.
So the point that I'm making is that was kind of how my life has been structured.
Yeah.
I know what matters most to me in terms of like my spiritual health, and that's where my pastor comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I know physical health. That's where my health coach and my functional medicine doctor come in.
Mm-hmm.
I know relational health. My pastor also fills that void in terms of like marital and parental relationships. So So the point is, I've got these areas, these kind of areas of value to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got people that I go to for more so for strategy, not necessarily for accountability. Because accountability only work if you're an honest dude.
Yeah. No, that's real. I'm sitting here listening and I'm just like, yo, that is so profound to create a board for yourself. And I'm sure you're on the other side of the camera thinking to yourself, I'm going to do that, right? But make sure that you choose people who are actually doing really well in those areas, not just your cousin them who, you know what I'm saying? She raised her kids pretty good. Don't do that. You know, Pastor, as I sit there And I just think whenever I see you, I don't know, I just see, it's just so much expansion. And I don't even really think, man, it's so cool that I don't think you see yourself, because there's such a level of humility that's still there. And I think that's why the Lord continues to use you in such a capacity. I see just in my heart, I was in prayer during church yesterday, and I was praying, and I said, so what do you want to do with Pastor Dharius Daniels? And I told you a little bit offline, and I won't go into the minutia of it, but it was like you was running.
Mm.
And you was running, and you kept running, and you was running, and you was running, and you didn't crash out at all. But it was like the Lord was challenging me to just tell you that, like, there are people across this world, man, that just want to pour into you, man. And sometimes our plates are just so full that oftentimes God has already blown our mind with what we have, but he wants our minds to explode with how he gets us to us in the next season.
Mm.
So when I was asking the Lord, I said, what song, Icebreaker, will we do? And he said, Turning Point.
Mm.
Because even now, I just feel like there's still another big extreme turning point for you. Have you strategized what the next 5-10 years look like, or is it still question marks?
Still question marks.
Yeah.
So I feel like one, your word is spot on.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't say that if that wasn't true. I just wouldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I do.
Yeah. I'll be like,
yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Like, thank
God
you,
bless
brother.
you.
Yeah. No, it's 100% spot on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the beginning
Yes. Good.
of this turning point.
Yeah.
So I don't know what exactly it is.
Yeah.
I just know what has been can't be.
I told you he's a walking bar.
Yeah.
He's like bars.
So I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's this word called holy discontent. So it is a divinely orchestrated frustration. So it is not you being unappreciative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you being discontent.
Mm-hmm.
It is God disrupting your satisfaction so that he makes you open to instruction he's going to give you in the future.
Yeah.
So, but he's disrupting your satisfaction in the present so that when he give you that instruction, you move and you don't have to wrestle.
Yeah.
So if you don't know a change is coming, when he's trying to change you, he's trying to wrestle with you and lead you at the same time.
Yeah.
But when he lets you know ahead of time something's coming, now I know I'm turning, I just need to know what.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of open to that. Part of it's like lifestyle.
Yes.
Part of it's lifestyle,
Good.
I'm not in a season where I'm running for me
Yes.
anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but I am running for others.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out now, transition-wise, what does it mean to teach people how to fish,
Yeah.
and not for me to do all of the fishing
Yeah.
and give fish away.
So in those seasons of turning point, because God also revealed that this ain't the first turning point.
Mm-mm.
I think you had I don't think this is what you wanted to do. It was kind of a real calling. It wasn't like, one day I'm going to be like my daddy. I think you wanted to do something else.
Law school.
Okay.
I gave up law school.
Okay. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
That was me and my dad's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was a bivocational pastor. It's super funny. Like when people talk about pastors and money
Yeah.
and stuff like that. One, a lot of pastors are clothes and car rich and cash poor. So they're dealing with a degree like you're saying, it's ostentatiousness.
Clothes and car rich.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, they look good and they driving good, but it's like,
Yeah.
something happened. You need a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
So I think that's a misconception a lot of times about like pastors and wealth. Are some pastors wealthy? Yes, but by and large, a lot of them are not. And I say all that to say my dad was not.
Mm-hmm.
So my association with pastoral ministry was poverty. He welded during the day. He did it because he was called. Worked all day in a factory, no heat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no heat, in the winter, no air in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And would come home, shower, put on that shirt and tie, go visit the sick, go teach Bible study. So my paradigm for pastoral ministry was that. So for me,
It's Like, I gotta get us out of here.
Yeah.
I gotta go do something.
100%. We gotta go
Right.
do something else. And that was his thing. He was like, hey, I'm called to this. I need you to be able to take care of your family
Right.
in a way that I'm not able to, take care of you. And even when I was making the decision, the biggest challenge my dad and I ever had in our relationship was when I was making the decision to abandon law school and go to seminary. That's when his protective, because he knew what I was signing up for. And that's when his protective nature kicked in.
Yeah.
And that was our biggest tension point. But I literally was going to law school, and then it was like, all right, okay, I feel this call to do full-time ministry. All right, well, I'm going to do both. So I started looking into these programs where you could get your JD and your MDiv. Like Emory, I think, used to have a program like that. But anyway, maybe it wasn't Emory, but you could get your law degree and your MDiv in a 5-year span.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wrestling with that. And it's just like God was just like, law school was the Isaac that I had to offer. And so that was like, my life has been, there are like 2 or 3 big turning points like that. And so I feel like I'm in the midst of one now. I just came off of my annual summer sabbatical, and a guy asked me, he said, man, what do you see next? And I was like, man, for the first time, I don't see what I'm doing.
More Love You More podcast after this.
Willie Mo Jr. here. So the other day, I'm doing my little skincare regimen with Gillette Skin Gold. When my son walked in and said, hey, Dad, what you doing? I let him know I was on my skincare regimen. Gillette shaving cream, Gillette moisturizer, and of course, I'm using that brand new Skin Guard Gillette razor. I thought I did a real good job of letting him know exactly what was going on when he said, what's a skincare regimen? I let him know that this was something that I do consistently to make sure that I get the best skin and make sure that I get the best shave. Automatically, he said, I want to shave. I let him know that shaving is a good thing. But as an African-American male, we are 3 or 4 times more prone to have skin irritation and razor bump. But with this new razor from Gillette called the Skin Guard, it has a defense bar where it actually cuts the hair on top of the skin to make sure that you don't get any new razor bump. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. The best just keep on getting better. I eventually had to explain to him that, son, I know you want to shave now, but you just a little too young. But the beauty of it all is that he gets an opportunity to experience his father doing a skincare regimen with Gillette. And so when he gets older, the legacy of Skin Guard continues flat out. I want to encourage you to go get the Gillette Skin Guard razor, or make sure that you get the Gillette Skincare regimen, the entire package. It's available right now at a retailer near you. Flat out.
And I was like, man, for the first time, I don't see what I'm doing.
So and just full transparency, I think we just made it to bro right now. I just felt the energy shift. So what do you do in these seasons? Because now that little boy in me who's afraid is starting to pick up his old habits. It's like I ain't had an urge for a cigar in hell, is like I'm like, man, I don't even really want to do this. I just told you in the beginning, like I set up borders with drinking. Like, damn, all of a sudden I want to drink. It's like sitting still I'm the man with the vision.
Yeah.
I got these people behind me who trust what I'm saying. Like, I can go preach, teach, and prophesy to this whole world, but God, I don't see nothing at this point for me. And I thank God I made some healthy choices financially that, every month it just kind of roll on autopilot, praise God, not trying to be braggadocio at all. But man, like, how do you not fall back into those Kill Michael high school 17, 18-year-old boy who's looking at his dad do that, and it's like, man, I'm going to get us up out of here. Like, I was getting us up out of Berkeley, no matter. He's a housekeeper.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to Ole Miss. How do you get to Ole Miss? I was running.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not go back into those hurtful, harmful habits while you're in the period waiting for the next half of whatever God may do?
2 things I'm going to say that I think I want to speak that in 2 ways. So one of the things that helps me go back, and this is going to sound way more coach than pastor. Yeah. And I don't even know what that means in this season, right? Yeah. That could mean something. I don't know. Yeah. But here's what I've learned. For me, like my ethical boundaries, and let's say ethics, I'm not even talking about sin. We could just say immoral or unproductive. My ethical boundaries, Willie, it's not even driven by wanting to be right. It's wise. So it's like, it's not like, I don't want to do that because that's not right. Bro, it just ain't wise. So I'm driven by does that make sense? Righteousness is wisdom for me now. So it's not on some, because I know enough about grace to know
that I'm good.
Yeah,
but that's just not wise.
It's just not wise, right?
Yeah, that's just not
right.
I mean,
It's
I
just
can
like,
do it. You know,
I could do it, and you know, it might be a consequence. It might not.
Right.
You understand? There are people that do stuff all the time. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't get caught all the time, or it don't turn into a habit all the time.
Right.
Let's keep it real.
It's just not
But
wise.
it's just not wise.
Yeah.
So it's not even if this is the one time where something, it's just not wise.
Yeah.
So that's one. Two, I think I'm at a place in my journey and my understanding of spiritual formation. I'm way more comfortable with struggle than the average person. I've normalized it.
So normalized.
Paul had it. He wrote 2/3 of the Bible.
Yeah.
75% of the New Testament, excuse me. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. 75% of the New Testament was written by a man who normalized struggle. Romans 7. Thing I want to do, I don't do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you normalize him. It's weird. It's almost like, let me talk about Christians specifically.
Yeah.
It's like we have such a warped view of spiritual formation. Somehow, you think growing in God leaves your humanity behind. We've got such a poor view of humanity. We can't even separate humanity from carnality. So most of the time when people say, I'm human, it's like, you wildin'. That's what you doing. I'm human. Nah, bro.
Nah, bro, you
that's
wildin'.
not, yeah, like
That's
Jesus
wildin'.
came to show you how to be human.
Mhm.
God became a human to show you how to be one.
Yeah.
And part of what that means is struggle.
Yeah.
It's human. So it's like, man, I feel like, you say, I feel like picking up a cigar. You in an uncomfortable season.
Yeah.
Duh. If
But
it's not going to be a cigar, it's going to be something. It's
it
like,
seems so selfish though to the outside world. You know what I mean? Like I even feel selfish. It's like, how could you feel this ain't the struggle you went through?
yeah,
But it's like for me, if I'm not going after something and not just being like I think my spirit just gets a little weird when it comes to contentment. Like being able to be like, okay, God, I just wait here. I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to enjoy this season. So I'm like, well, maybe I should write a book. You know, like, you know, I'm not used to being a human being. I think I'm a human doer.
yeah.
And I think you spoke to that really, really well. You know, throughout this conversation, I heard a lot about your dad, and I'm thankful that I got a chance to meet him. Where was Mom?
Mom was there too, man. I feel like every chapter of my life, I would feel like one of my parents contributed to in different ways. So I feel like early on, like younger, especially because my dad was working so much, and my dad was in the National Guard.
Oh God.
Yes.
He going on weekends.
Yeah. And then I think he switched to the Army Reserve. So the early part of my life is Mom. It was more of a connection with her. And so I feel like a lot of my like my passion for reading and studying and stuff like that came from her. So I don't need that. We had library cards.
Yeah, I had library
Yellow
cards.
card? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the summer.
It was white and black. It was
Bro.
laminated.
Yeah.
He was laminated.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So in the summer, like we would have the Chemical Library would have a summer reading program. You get stars and stickers for how many books you read or whatever. So every summer, she's got me in that summer reading program. She's the one that's like, all right, she's the one assessing my like potential at school. And like, all right, now you got honor roll potential. You got to bring honor roll grades home.
Wow.
Like, you know, so it like they wouldn't force that like on my sibling. I appreciated that. They would look at, okay, what's your best?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to hold you to. So she was kind of that. I think as I got into my teenage years, that is when I started connecting more with Dad.
With Dad, yeah.
And so that's why, so when I started having to make life altering decisions and stuff like that, he was one, because as a man, I could connect and relate to him a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's why most of what I'm talking about is him. It wasn't that Mom wasn't there. It was just that as I got older, I connected more with Dad.
That's good. What's the biggest misconception about being a mega church pastor?
I don't know what the biggest one is. I'm gonna give you like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one is that everybody that has a large church like that tried to have one.
Yeah, I know for a fact you didn't try to do that.
What's the formula?
Yeah.
For people to say, these mega church, what's the formula? Which one started like a mega church?
Right.
Which one started like one? No. If somebody opened up something and then for whatever reason, people start flocking to that, what you're doing when you call every mega church leader a con artist is you're insulting the intelligence of thousands of people who sit there every week. So you're making the assumption, what you know that they don't. I want you to say, can I just be
No,
right?
that's real.
Let the
That's
coach
honest.
talk, not the pass. You know how dumb that is?
Yeah.
You got, if 5,000-6,000 people, degrees, jobs, entrepreneurs, parents, people who are making it in life, are sitting in a place every week. You somehow are assuming you have some expertise, a vantage point
Right.
that they don't have. You insulted the intelligence
Of all them people.
of all of those people. It's okay to be like, yo, that's not for me.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that they're dumb for being there. So you mean they sitting in there every week for something that ain't doing nothing for them?
Jeez.
They're giving their time and their money to something that's not adding value to their life in any way. So they don't have the ability to objectively assess
Right.
what is actually helping them.
Yeah.
You who have no insight on what's going on in their life, though, are making this microscopic judgment from a telescopic vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
You making a judgment like you close, but you far.
Right.
You don't know what's in. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Then number two, I think that so one is like they tried to be one, and then I think the other two, like the second misconception is like I don't know what the right word is, but like that every megachurch pastor is into self, like they get something out of being a megachurch pastor,
Right.
like like, and let me keep it a buck. I'm not saying that's not the case for some pastors.
Yeah.
But if it is, that's a trauma response. That means you ain't become nobody until you became a pastor.
Yeah.
If you being a pastor make you feel like somebody, that means you was that little boy that got picked last for kickball all the time.
And
See, that's what that means.
Listen, I was just talking to somebody. They asked me, I was at the Stellar Award. I don't traditionally go to like award shows and all that, but I was like, you know what? We're nominated. Let's show good grace. Let's go out. And I'm talking to I bring all my sons. I just like for them to experience this type of stuff with me. And I was talking to somebody, and I won't say the name or whatever, and they leaned over to me. I said, man, why he act like that? And he said, he wasn't cool in high school. I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are. I said, man, what? Because, he was just, you ever just see people, they just so glad to be here, and everybody got to know him and this, that, and other. Yeah. And I said, why he act like that? That man split. Man, you know what? I don't think he was cool in high school.
It is.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes people put people in those boxes. It's almost like if something is large, then they doubt the genuineness of the person that's leading it or the authenticity of that person, as if to suggest that God didn't use any of their skill, acumen, or expertise at all. Like this is the only thing that they could be doing. They're just like a con artist of sorts. And like,
I think that's fair, but I also think it's because of the mishaps that have happened in mega churches throughout time.
Okay, here's my
too.
pushback. I want to push back on that. Okay.
Like they just like, oh, that's gotta be what I seen in this
I want
guy.
to push back on that big time.
Yeah.
Here's my pushback on that. My pushback is the assumption people are making is that because what happens with mega churches are visible, it's more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in small storefront churches. Okay.
Like,
I'm
gonna leave it alone.
It's way easier
worse,
to get crazy with money when it's smaller and no boards, and it's some churches in Mississippi, they never gonna get on the IRS radar.
Oh, never.
Ever.
Never.
They're never gonna get audited.
Yeah, never.
So I think it's not a mega church. I think mega churches are more visible. Number one, it's over 300,000 registered churches in the United States. That's not counting our cousin them who paperwork not right.
Yeah.
That's registered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's just say, I think they say like the average church, like 90% of churches do not have 500 adults in attendance. Now, they might have it on the roll, but 90% don't have 500. So I want you to think about how small, and then when you go up to what's considered a mega church, and pastors who lead large churches didn't come up with this term, which is like 2,000 in attendance and more. So you're really probably talking about 3% of churches in the entire country. And so people say, oh, these mega churches. Well, when something happened with the 3%, it's just news. When something happened with your uncle, it's not.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, so I feel like it's both.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? I think it's
things.
both. I think it's both. So I'm not dismissing a lot of even what we've seen recently. And I do think growth and success does have something to do with a leader's unwillingness to deal with his stuff. Because the hardest person to get to change is somebody that's winning.
Yeah.
So I do agree there. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I promise you. I mean, what you said is so true. Because I remember my first became, like, I was a Christian and the Lord started blessing. I was like, well, I guess I got to be perfect.
Yeah.
And then I would fall short.
Yeah.
But the wrath of God didn't hit me. And then, you go a little further. And then finally, the Spirit of the Lord just kind of hit my heart. And he's like, but do you love me? Like, I know they didn't see, but do you love me? And so my heart posture became like, God, I just don't want to disappoint you. And I think my biggest problem in the culture that we've created, that it's become so performance-based. But I sing about a Jesus, I talk about a Jesus that I really needed. Like, I really came over here for refuge, man. And I was like, God, if there's anything that you can do for me, man, I give all this crap up.
Yeah.
So when I see in our culture that it's so many mishaps, me included, because I'm human, I don't judge it. But I'm like, man, you gotta fall in love with Jesus, bro. Like, be willing to sacrifice like it all, like just to see what he chooses to do with your life. And so when I see young, amazing guys like yourself, and I know you love God, because it confirmed in my spirit the other day. I said, man, he love you, don't it? Yeah, and I said, that's pretty cool, man. I love to see people who actually really, really love you. I just want you protected from these goofballs, man.
Yeah.
Because we need you.
That.
And like, I ain't had no big old stain on my name, you know what I mean? Like, I made a decision to uncouple, and it was what it was. And then, she decided to say some things about me, and this culture is so tight knit, it begins to go out. And then I just, the invitation started slowing down, and it got a little unique. And I just remember just saying, God, if I still got you, like, I'm straight, like, I'm good. And then he began to birth new things like podcasts and all this other stuff. And I realized that, man, sometimes you got to go through that. But I think about all the people who hung on to every single word that I said while I was sitting on those couches with my wife and trying to help so many relationships. It's not even like me. Like, I'm good. God help me. I knew this was the right thing, but I was like, man, if I could do it over, I'd have been more honest early. And maybe I wouldn't have injured so many people who was really, really gleaming from what was going on. So
can I though? I think I honor your heart posture. I mean, your heart is one of the things that I just admire the most about you, beyond how gifted you are. I feel like it's a little bit different for pastors though than even I honor your heart with like the way you want to steward your influence.
Yeah,
I think it's a different like. Not that it matters less to God, but I think when you're sitting in a seat as a pastor, the implications of what you do with your life are a lot, I'm not going to say a lot greater. It's almost like at some point, and maybe this is just a conversation we have offline, I want to open up. I want to have an honest conversation about, is the way we're actually viewing spiritual growth right? And is the way we're actually doing church working?
Yeah. No, that's real.
Because if it's not working for the guys that's leading the church.
Next episode.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, it's like
it ain't working for
it's not yet. It's like, and when I say working, not like, is it not working at all? Is it working the way God intended? I'm not saying, are you inspired at church?
Yeah.
We should be inspired, encouraged. Like every week, people are going to walk into our church, and I know somebody got a doctor's report this week. Somebody got broke up with. Somebody found something on their kid phone. Like, I know life is lifing.
Yeah.
And so people need to be encouraged, and the scriptures instruct us to encourage one another.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the commission. That's not what Jesus said it was about. So there's this book called The Great Omission. You know, we call it The Great Commission.
Yeah.
The book is The Great Omission because it's like, yo, we've omitted the Great Commission.
Yeah.
Which is actually disciple making, which is what? Not like transmitting information to people, teaching people how to live like Jesus. And a lot, this is no judgment, bro. This is no judgment. I just don't know if we teaching people to do that.
That's true.
I just want you to think about the average sermon.
That's true.
You understand? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if you go to church every Sunday, if it's actually going to increase your biblical literacy.
That's real.
So, and I feel like anytime we have conversations about revisiting something like this, people feel like, yo, we're attacking the church.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If it's something in your marriage, like I've been married 23 years. I've been with my wife over 25. I love my marriage enough not to settle.
Right.
I love her too much. I love the marriage too much to let something that needs to be addressed go unaddressed. So this isn't a critique. This is love for the church. If the Bible says whom the God loves, he corrects.
Yeah.
Like, yo, and so I think that's a larger conversation, man,
Mm-hmm.
because like I'm in this series now. I just started. It's on the book of Nahum,
Mm.
and I can't tell you how many people came back to me and was like, "Hey, I never heard."
Let me just
In
be
my
honest
life.
with you. Look, bring me this camera. Right
Like,
if a pastor go to the book of Nahum, you know it got to be some revelation because we ain't just running the Nahum, Pastor. Matter of fact, I'm looking right now in my spiritual mind like, what Nahum did?
yeah, yo, but the average person. Here's what's so dope about this
book
series
of
is called.
Nahum.
It's called A Letter to My Enemies, right? And so
I need that. No, just like,
you might. We all do.
yeah.
But it's basically like, yo, in the book, bro, it's one of the only books in the Bible where the whole prophetic message is he's not talking to God's people. He's talking to the Assyrians. It's a prophetic message to the Assyrians. The same people that Jonah prophesied to, they change for a generation. And then he went back to the same behavior. So 100 years later, God tapped Nahum, say, okay, I sent Jonah to tell y'all stop messing with my people. You didn't. So this is what I'm getting ready to do for you. Do to you. So the point is, I'm teaching people, hey, Nahum teaches us how to handle yourself when you're being mishandled by other people. It is a personification of Jesus' love your enemies.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that to talk about what I'm doing, but that's where my heart is. I'm not saying I'm getting it right. You feel me?
Right.
But my heart is like, I want to actually change.
Yeah.
And I want the people that are coming each week to change.
Right.
And I don't know if that's current Christian culture right now.
That's so real.
But let me say one more thing.
God, all
Let me say one more. And this is the one thing, this is where a pastor's life becomes important. Because your gift is not enough to get people to change. This is something you have to be living out.
Yeah.
And you have to preach out of your lived experience.
That
Because
conviction.
now your experience becomes the lens through which you see scripture. And now you use scripture as a tool to help people experience what you are experiencing. But if you're not experiencing change, all you're gonna be able to do is to tell them to throw $1 and holler.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, now, man, listen, Pastor Dharius Daniels, I tell you what, man, you special, bro. You really, really special, man. And I'm not often speechless. Like, this is the time where I usually give my spiel. But I just tell you, man, I honor you, man. I honor the gift that you have. I honor even in the expansion that it didn't change your heart. It is my prayer, man, that the type of fire that you have, that it just can never like be distracted. It'll never go out because that's just who you are. You're going to do it. But in terms of you know, sometimes people get so close and they do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, great leaders are not exactly who they are, and then you see those type of patterns, man. I just pray that the Lord continues to keep you where you are. I can understand why expansion came on you the way it did. And I don't think it's just the education. I don't think it's your orator skills. Man, I think it's the heart that you have for God's people. And so here's the thing. Next season, it ain't gonna have, everybody ain't gonna be clapping for you.
Mm.
Some people may think you lost it. This is a tough message. But it's a few of us who know your heart. And you go out there and do what God called you to do because we need you, man.
Yeah, I received that.
We
brother.
need you, man.
Thank you.
Like, but we need the you that you know
Yeah,
we need.
100%. No,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. I receive it, man.
Thank you for your gift, man.
Man, thank you for having me.
Man, shoot. Once the anointing done did what it's supposed to do, you ain't supposed to touch it. That you know, they said those who are short-winded shall be called backeth. So I pray that you come back because I'm short-winded today. Subscribe to this channel. Love yourself more. Go to helpyoumore.com. We want to help you just a little bit more. And head over to Change Church if you're ever in the ATF. Look online. Make sure that you check out this amazing series from the book of Nahum. Hey, Pastor Closier, you know I'm preaching if he coming out of Nahum, huh? KD, you ever came out of Nahum? Never. I ain't never studied Nahum. I'm gonna study it tonight. You know he preaching. That man got a revelation up out of Nahum, showing up preaching. Love you more, flat out. I'm going to the book of Nahum. Nahum, the man of God preaching out of Nahum. And he said it with so much confidence. Yeah, I'm doing a series right now coming out of the book of Nahum. How?
Love you more, love you more.